Geological setting. Puerto Rico is composed of volcanic and plutonic rocks which are overlain by younger Oligocene to recent carbonates and other sedimentary rocks. Puerto Rico is mostly made of mountains and hills, with nearly 25% of the island being covered by slopes. The island sits less than 100 miles south of a depression in the Earth's crust in the Atlantic Ocean, which is known as the Puerto Rican Trench. The island has a tropical climate with lots of rain. Heavy winds bring in large rainfall to the north side of the island, while the south side of the island is in a rain shadow. The island's capital city, San Juan, which is on the northern side of the island, receives 60 inches of rain, while Ponce, a southern coast city, only receives about 36 inches of rain per year. The heaviest rainfalls come between May and December due to hurricane development in the Atlantic Ocean.
The hurricane flooded Puerto Rico by storm surges and heavy rainfall. The hurricane rained 246.4 millimeters in 24 hours. The river levels rose by 10.11 meters, and the storm surge was as high as 5.3 feet. The storm surge went directly into the land and flooded the city. More than 10 rivers exceeded major flood stage. This means that there was little to no drainage for the water because all of the natural drains were clogged. This led to the water just sitting on the surface instead of running off and into the oceans or other rivers. The ground was also saturated from the rain, so there was more intense flooding.
The floods caused by the hurricane knocked out the power across the whole island of Puerto Rico, and it took months to fully restore the power. The flood also took out whole forests and destroyed vegetation. The hurricane caused a total of $85 billion in damages and flooded and destroyed whole towns and forests. The hurricane flooded many lakes and rivers across the island, which makes the flooding even worse. Agriculture also took a large hit in Puerto Rico because the salt water from the ocean increased the salinity of the soil near the coast. Also, the hurricane destroyed nearly all the crops and ruined the soil inland. This hurricane was the most devastating hurricane in Puerto Rico's history. The hurricane also decimated the infrastructure like roads, power lines, and other structures. This made the cleanup process much more harder and costly.
Puerto Rico will always be at risk for hurricanes in the future. The best thing to do is evacuate when there is a hurricane that is large as Hurricane Maria was. There is little to do to prevent flooding besides building seawalls and building away from rivers and lakes. Puerto Rico is a relatively small island, so there is not much to do with the floodwater besides wait for it to run off into the ocean. Building structures on stilts would minimize damage to homes and other structures. With the sea level rising and warming, hurricanes become more common and even more powerful. So people in these regions need to realize the threat they pose.
Recommendation to reduce. Due to the placement of the island, Puerto Rico will always be faced with the fear of severe flooding. However, many things can be implemented to make the risk less severe. One thing that can be done to reduce threats of flood damage would be introducing better flood warning systems. Improving flood warning systems will allow for quicker response, which would allow more people to be evacuated to safety. Another thing that can be done is modifying homes to help them withstand flooding. Because flooding is inevitable in this area, by making the buildings stronger, it will allow for less damage to be done.